Can we just end the season already? At least then the board can finally pull the trigger and go after a new manager without having to worry about the rest of the campaign hanging over them. Because yeah, we've had enough of Slot here at Panenka. We backed him all the way, we gave him time, we even broke down those myths about his coaching, especially when it comes to how his teams play with the ball, and showed that a lot of that criticism was just not true. But there is one thing we simply cannot defend or explain, one thing that has been there all season, quietly hurting us week after week, and now it has caught up to us. It is the main reason things have fallen apart, and honestly, it's the reason Slot is going to lose his job. Most people could not wait for the international break to end. Here at Panenka, we felt the complete opposite. We were not looking forward to it at all, because we already knew what was coming. You could see it building for weeks, and in the end, exactly what we expected happened. A 4-0 loss against Manchester City, our third loss against them this season. By the way, another title gone, just like that, and now the Champions League is the only thing we have left to hold on to. With Paris Saint-Germain coming up in a few days, if we are being real, you can already see how this is going to go based on how things are looking right now. There is no confidence, no control, and no real sign that anything is about to change. So what actually went wrong in this humiliating loss? And what is the one flaw that has ruined our season and is now about to cost Slot his job? Well, hit that like and subscribe button and let us jump straight into it. If you watched the first 35 minutes of this game, you would probably bet your house that we would at least push for a draw. Our approach was simple. We tried to progress play in 3 different ways. The first one was going long from the goalkeeper towards Salah or Ikatike, nothing fancy, nothing risky, just a direct option to bypass City's press and move us up the pitch quickly without overcomplicating things. The second method was more about creating space around City's block. If you remember their Carabao Cup final against Arsenal, they defended in a 4-2-4 shape and barely pressed at all. They just sat there, blocked the central areas, and waited for mistakes. That is exactly what they did again here. In this sequence, there is no real pressure on the ball. They stay in that 4-2-4 high block, stay compact, and basically force us to make the next move. So we had to find ways to deal with that. Like we said earlier, we often went long. But when we tried to build, we had Jones or Gravenberch drop in between the centre-backs to create a 3 against 2 against their forwards. That gave us a bit more control in the first phase. Then, higher up the pitch, we had Wirtz and Salah tucking inside. That helped us overload their pivot players in midfield, and at the same time, it pulled their wide players narrow as well. And all of this had one clear purpose. The whole idea was to open up space on the wings. By crowding the middle, we force City to stay compact horizontally. And once that happens, the wide areas are there to be used. That is where the diagonals come in, all those long switches to the other side, where we could finally attack with more space and a bit more freedom. Once we managed to move the ball out from the deeper areas, the next step was going to be more direct, but still on the ground. Instead of going around City's shape, we tried to play straight into it to catch them before they could fully settle. This was especially important in those moments where they were shifting from their 4-4-2 mid-block into their 4-2-4 shape we talked about earlier. In this clip, you can see City sitting in that 4-4-2 mid-block again, just like before. Jones drops in between the centre-backs to give us an extra man against their first line. The ball goes across to Konate, and that is where the timing becomes key. As soon as Doku starts to press, you can see City getting ready to step up and turn it into a higher block. But instead of slowing it down, we move it quickly. Konate plays a sharp pass straight into Wirtz before City can fully adjust. So rather than waiting for their shape to lock in, we attack them right in that moment of transition when things are not fully set and small gaps start to appear. And this is exactly the kind of situation we were trying to create. Catch them in between, play through the lines quickly, and attack before they can recover. This specific move is actually what led to that Hugo shot that just went over the bar. And it is a perfect example of what our plan was supposed to look like when it worked. Now, like we said earlier, with the way we played in the first 30 to 40 minutes, you would never really expect the game to end like this. But then we concede the penalty. Haaland scores, and from that moment, it just felt like the game was done. Not just because of the score, but because we looked nothing like a team after that. Everything we were doing, well, just disappeared. And it really makes you question how mentally fragile this side is. How do you go from being the better team on the pitch to looking like you never even got started? What is going on in those moments? Because even before the other goals went in, you could already see that shift. The body language changed, the reactions were off, and the belief just did not look there anymore. At any point, you start to wonder if the squad has lost faith in the manager. Because when things go wrong, there is no response, no reaction, nothing to hold on to. And if that is not worrying enough, what makes it even worse is that Slot keeps sticking to the same flawed approach. The same issues have been there all season, costing us points, and now costing us another title. And nothing has changed. That is what is going to get him sacked in the end. We could go through every single goal, but honestly, we do not need to. The last one alone tells the whole story. It shows how poor the approach is without the ball, and at the same time, it shows a group of players who no longer fully believe in what they are being asked to do. In this moment, we lose the ball, and the reaction says everything. Salah is the only one trying to put any kind of pressure on it. The rest, they either do not step up, or they just look unsure about what they are supposed to do. And that hesitation is all that City need. They look at our defensive line, we have 6 players sitting back there. 6, and we already are 3-0 down. So the question is, why are we dropping that many players so deep in that situation? This is where Slot's approach comes in again. He always wants that +1 on the back line, and he asks his midfielders to follow the runners and mark players tightly. That is exactly what pulls Szoboszlai and Jones all the way back and keeps them there instead of helping up higher up the pitch. It leaves us stuck with too many players deep and not enough pressure on the ball. And then the communication breaks down again. You can see Van Dijk step out to deal with Silva, which is fine at first, but the moment Silva moves away from that area, no one picks him up. He is just left free and no one reacts to it. That is a basic issue, but it keeps on happening. From that point on, it becomes way too easy for City. With the gaps created by our marking, the lack of pressure, and the players clearly not fully convinced in what they are doing, City can just walk through us and attack the goal with almost no resistance. So yeah, at the end of the day, this game just sums up our entire season. You can have all the good ideas on the ball, you can look like the better team for 30 minutes, but if you collapse the moment something goes wrong, none of it matters. And that has been the story again and again. The worrying part is that this is not something new. We have seen the same issues all season, both mentally and tactically, and nothing has really changed. The players do not look convinced, the system is not holding up, and the results are only getting worse. With big games coming up, it is hard to feel any kind of confidence right now. And if things keep going like this, then the decision about the manager might already be made. But yeah, that's it from us from now. Let us know your thoughts down there in the comment section below. And as always, please do hit the like button and hit the subscribe button for more.